Well, good morning. Welcome on this rainy Wednesday. It's not Monday. Thank the Lord it's not Monday. Wednesday morning on the drive to work. I was reading this morning in Hebrews 12. And Hebrews 12 starts off with, "Therefore you're surrounded with so great a crowd of witnesses." And it says, "Let us lay aside every weight and the sin that does so easily beset us, and let us run the race that's set before us." That's my paraphrase of it. So, because of the witnesses that are around us, who are the witnesses around us? Well, Hebrews 11 is the Hall of Faith. And if you read through there, you're going to see some amazing names and all of that. And yes, those people are watching. They're on the other side. They can see us. They're watching us. They know what's happening here. But not only them, we have people here that are watching us and depending on us to run our race. And as I read that this morning, I was going through, and it's the very end phrase that really jumped out to me. To run the race that is set before you. And I thought, man, there's all kinds of different races we can run. Some people run the sprint. Some people run, those marathons. Some run cross country. Some run hurdles. Some run, there's just tons of different races that you can run. And everybody's race here is different. My race is different than yours. Your race is different than mine. Not yours. God gave me to run. The path that He has put me on is different than the path that He put you on. And just as much as there are people in the stands cheering us on to victory, like it says there, those that are watching in Hebrews 11, can I tell you there's also some people in the stands booing, unfortunately? And I read once that it was said that the loudest boos always come from the cheapest seats. People are going to mock us. People are going to ridicule us. People are going to boo at us. People are going to try to distract us from the race that we are trying to run. But here's the thing about racing. This body was not built for speed. I don't run races. But I do know this. When you're running, if you're turned around, if you're turning your head and looking behind you, you're going to slow down and you're going to fall. When you're running a race, you keep your focus forward, not to the right, not to the left, and not behind, but forward at the goal. Where are you going? What's the next few steps? What's in front of me? Where am I going? And that's the way you run a race. You see, the boos and the people that are running around us, and even the cheers in the crowd, we've got to almost tune them out so that we can run the race that's put before us and win, and we can run effectively, as effective as we can. That's something that I've had to learn in my own life over the last few years, especially, is that my race is not what somebody else thinks my race is. My race is what God tells me my race is. No one else can tell me the path that I'm on. No one else can tell me the direction that I'm supposed to go. Now, I can get good godly counsel and those kind of things, but ultimately I have to decide, after hearing from God, what He wants me to do. He is the only one who can tell me the race and the path that I'm supposed to be on. Not the people that are running around me. Not the people that are cheering me on in the stands. And absolutely not the people who are booing from the stands, who don't like the race that I'm on. I have to tune them out. I would have never thought a couple of years ago that I wouldn't be serving as a full-time pastor. And I'm sure there are people who think that I have taken a huge step backwards, but can I tell you, you don't get to decide the race that I'm on. Only He does. And as long as I'm following that path and I'm staying on that one headed direction, He wants me to go on His path in His race, that's all that matters to me. Quite frankly, I shouldn't give a rip what anybody else thinks. Because when I die one day and stand before God, there's only one person I got to give an account to, and that's Him, not you and not anybody else. Him. So in the midst of the boos, and even in the midst of the cheers, and in the midst of people running all around us, we can't try to match pace with somebody who's running with us, because they might not even be on their path, may just be crossing ours for a little while, and then they go off in a different direction. And if I'm trying to live my life like somebody else and trying to imitate somebody else and be like somebody else, I'm going to miss the path that I'm supposed to be on. So when I read that this morning, it encouraged me. There's only one person, only one, who tells me the path I'm supposed to be on. And I want to encourage you with that today too. Listen. Listen to the coach. Listen to the one who has marked out the path. I love the way some of the other translations translate what Paul said. You know, the old King James says, I press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling of God in Christ Jesus. But many of the other translations say, I press towards the prize on the marked out path. And that's probably a more accurate translation. I'm on a marked out path, and I'm going for the prize. I'm going for the crossing the finish line. I'm going for the win. I don't care what anybody else is doing. I have to do what God has called me to do. I have to be on the path that He's called me to be. I have to be running the race that He's called me to run. Doesn't matter what anybody else does or what anybody else says or where anybody else is going. I can't be distracted. I have to have laser-like focus. Because I am on the path and I am running the race. Hope that encourages you today to listen to the voice of God. Not to the voice of others, but listen to the voice of God and allow Him to tell you the path that you're supposed to be on. And then just tune out the others. Tune out the naysayers and the boos and even the cheers. And don't pay attention to those who are running around you. Focus on the path that God has placed you on. Hope you have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.